Hey guys, it is me, Tanya, founder of the TNG Design Group Limited. I hope you're all keeping safe and well. Now, in this particular video, we are going to be talking about the idea of what is the impact of personal positioning. Now, you would have seen a video already about the idea of what is personal positioning. Well, we're taking it to the next level now, and we're helping you to understand the idea of what is the impact and why it's actually super important for the idea of personal positioning to be a thing in the first place, especially when it comes to boosting the awareness of who it is that you are, and more specifically around the idea of your brand, what it stands for, and how it really does help people. Now, we're going to be touching base on 3 influences in particular. I also want to share with you what Boots, Google, and equally Nike all have in common. Boots, by the way, just as a little side note, is the equivalent to CVS or Walgreens if you're in the US, or any kind of toiletry supplier or any kind of you get the gist, right? You get the idea and you get the gist. I want to just make sure that you get to grips as to what those particular big brands have in common, and equally how you can make sure that when you're understanding the impact of what personal positioning can actually do for yourself, you actually start implementing it and you actually start taking action with it. And I'll share with you exactly how you can take action with it at the very end of this video. So make sure you stick around till the end. And here's what else I'd like you to do. I'd love for you guys to literally go ahead and subscribe to this channel, because I'm super mindful of the views that I'm getting, and thank you very much for those views. However, I'm also super mindful that those particular views aren't always subscribers. Now I'd like you to become a subscriber, because I want to share even more content like this with you, and I want to make sure that you are getting to grips with the idea of branding, what it can do for yourself, and equally how it can make sure that you are standing true to your own standards and your beliefs, and not feeling like you've got to be the best kept secret. It's not about that. I'm all about making sure that you stand out as you, and it's not about looking like the prettiest crayon in the tin. No, it's not about that. It's about so much more. Now, folks, without further ado, let's just get stuck into it. So as I shared with you, we are going to be talking about what is the impact of personal positioning, right? Especially when it comes to the likes of branding, and especially when it comes to the likes of you getting out there or building the awareness of what it is that you do and how it is that you really do help people. Understanding what the impact is for personal positioning is going to help you to, again, level up within your brand, but not only that, but equally make those better connections that you're actually looking for, so you can start getting the results that you're equally starting to look for as well. Now remember, I shared with you there's a few influences that are going to be happening when it comes to understanding what the impact is for personal positioning, right? The impact, and especially with this first influence, is understanding how with your influence now, and by the way, yes, you are influencing, you're not necessarily the typical influencer. I don't know, maybe you are, I don't know. But I'm not talking about being a typical influencer in that respect. What I am sharing is the words that are coming out your mouth, the messages that you are putting out there is helping somebody, influencing them to change, to make a change, right? Whether as a personal brand or a business brand or corporate brand, however you want to label yourself as, you are creating a level of influence that allows somebody to move from one state to the next. So just know that. Just know that. So now this first influence is the idea of building trust and authority. Now with trust and authority comes the notion, or again the idea, as to with what it is that you are sharing with your audience, especially on social media, for example. With all that information that you are sharing on social media, with all that information that you are sharing as content, you are sharing it no doubt for a reason, right? And I would imagine that information that you are sharing is going to be of value. So the more and more value that you're putting out is the more and more trust that you are naturally building. Because people now are understanding, that this person, oh my gosh, yeah, she knows her stuff, or he knows his stuff, or they know their stuff. However you identify, you know your stuff, right? And it's super important for your audience to be able to get to grips with that. And naturally, they just start trusting what it is that you are sharing, because you are sharing it with conviction, you are sharing it, more importantly, with certainty, and no doubt you're going to be sharing it with facts as well. Now, factual value, that's something that unfortunately not many people know how to do, and I wish many more people would know how to do it. But factual value is something that is super important to be able to make sure that the information that you are sharing is backed up by facts. That's super important, simply because what that does is it adds to your credibility. And it just allows people to understand that, oh, this person isn't actually plucking all their values and their stats from thin air. No, they're backing it with facts. So just a little side note there and a little mindful thing to be aware of. So with that in mind, let's now move on to the next point of influence. And that's the idea of value and perception. And we just spoke about value. So now how it leads on to the idea of perception. And again, I know I touched base on perception in my previous video, but with value and perception in mind, especially when it comes to understanding what the impact can be, especially around the idea of personal positioning, value and perception go hand in hand simply because the value that you have for yourself, remember we're always going back to the idea of your VPV, your brand power of 3. Your values, even from that point, they are going to be the blood that trickles through you, right? It helps to pump around the idea of the information as to what it is that you're doing, why it is that you're doing, and equally more importantly, why are you speaking to these specific people as well. Now, wanting to share that message with them is another thing, right? How you are perceived to do so, how you are showing up, more importantly, adds to your perception. Meaning that as you are showing up, are you, really timid and shy, and are you showing up in a way that clearly doesn't suit what it is that you're doing? Or are you standing with certainty or showing up with certainty? Are you making sure that you're sharing, again, that value, factual information, right? Or are you making sure that with that value and with those facts and with that perception of who it is that you are, you're really bringing that level of authority that allows your audience, that allows your viewer to understand, I need to pay attention. Oh my goodness, what they're sharing is really what I really resonate with. Oh my goodness, I hear what they are saying. Is your brand doing that right now? Are you doing that right now? Are you showing up with a level of authority and a level of value and perception that allows your impact to be had in the first place? If not, address these things. If you feel that there's room for improvement, address these things. And I'm going to share with you how you can make sure that you start actioning these things as well towards the end of this video. But for the purpose of here right now, I want to make sure that you continue with this. So now, this third thing. Remember I was sharing with you at the very beginning of this video the idea of what Boots, Google, and even Nike all have in common. Well, essentially, they all show up, but they show up with their brand with clarity and certainty. That third thing of clarity and certainty is something to not take lightly. And when I'm talking about clarity and certainty, I'm talking about the message that you're also sharing. Now, I know I've touched base on this already, right? But the idea of your message is something that is super important to be able to help others to get it. They need to get it. They need to get why you're showing up in the first place. What is your drive? What is it that makes you you? But equally, why is it also that allows you to do what it is that you really, really do and how it is that you really, really help others? So let's break it down even further, right? So with Boots, for example, it's a brand that's with you for life. It's all about the idea of trust and reliability over any kind of trend that may be happening. So they trump that first, right? They want to make sure that they're putting you in mind. They're putting life in mind first before anything else. And also on the note of putting you in mind, putting you first, right? Google does something similar too. They're all about the idea of organizing the world's information. And they have like the idea of a user first design aspect, right? So again, something similar to Boots in the sense where they're putting you first. And when we think about Nike or Nike do again, put you first. They put the average person first. Everybody is an athlete, but the everyday athlete. Their slogan or strapline of just do it implies that. The idea of putting self-belief first and making sure that with self-belief, you can just do it. You can get on and do it. You don't have to wait to become a professional. You don't have to wait for X, Y, and Z to happen. You can just do it. So how are you showing up with what it is that you're doing? Again, with me, with the way how I show up, as I shared with you already, It's all about helping others to see that they are more than what they see, and equally pushing the fact that representation matters. People need to see more of what they can be in order to be able to have certain spaces open up for them. Remember, I did a whole video series about diversity, and more specifically how you show up with the idea of diversity in mind, but do so in a way, again, that's always going to be congruent to your standards and your beliefs. Now, with that in mind, how you show up, especially here, when you understand personal positioning and the impact that it really does have, always should put the viewer in mind, always should put your brand, your values, your vision, and your purpose in mind. And when it comes to positioning as well, it's always going to help others to move. So how are you helping them to move? How are you helping them to move? So folks, I'm going to leave it there. I hope that this video really resonated with you. Please make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. And just before you go, I want to make sure that you continue this action all the time. So remember, I shared with you a way of making sure that you can do that. Well, you do so by going ahead and clicking on the first link that's in the description box below this video. Make sure you click on that link, enter just a few details that I'm going to need from you. But in doing so, I'm going to fire over to you your key principles. Now, these key principles are super important in order to make sure that your brand keeps leveling up as it should be leveling up. It's going to allow you to not only understand what your VPV is, and it's also going to allow you to understand who your people should be, your people pools. What are they? Who are in them? And how you can actually speak to them. Because we don't speak to every single person the same. And if you do, you need to stop because everybody deserves a little bit of a different language. And in order to be able to understand what that language is, you need to tap into these key principles to be able to do so. And all of this, why I even share this stuff in the first place? Well, if you're the type of person who's looking to make better connections, and if you're the type of person who wants to make sure that your brand gets the awareness and the recognition that it deserves, well, you tap into these key principles. Go ahead and understand what it is that your brand actually does, and equally how it is that you and your brand can actually really, really help people and be able to share that information specifically. So folks, I really hope that this video resonated with you. Equally, make sure you go ahead and get your principles, like and subscribe to this channel, and I will see you on the other side.